Consultation is actually a dedicated space where we talk together in great detail and I share the full extent of my professional work experience with you, remaining fully focused on exactly what your unique needs are. During this time, you listen carefully to my suggestions and tell me exactly what you want to achieve, so that we can eventually reach a solid common ground where you receive the absolute best quality and complete satisfaction. Now, when we sit down to talk about what constitutes a truly proper and professional consultation, what exactly are the specific elements we are talking about? First, there are factors that have a big impact on our work. In fact, they are our tools. The hair itself, the device we use, the method we use to install the hair, the number of hairs being applied to your head, the color palette and color techniques, and the color styles that match your taste. Combined with my experience, knowing what you actually need, this all comes together to create a result that is exactly tailored to your needs, preferences, and in fact, your lifestyle. Now, how does this actually happen? It's very simple. I start by giving a consultation and asking, what style do you like? The different styles of our work are already well defined. We either do one-by-one extensions, also known as keratin installation, or working with devices that attach strand by strand, one strand to one section of your hair, using laser devices, and the adhesive used is keratin. In this method, depending on your needs, look, we do extensions in 7 different ways for 7 different reasons. Extensions for lengthening, extensions for adding volume, for creating color effects, therapeutic extensions, extensions that are just for covering up hair breakage, which are among the most popular. Why? Because the smallest amount of hair and the least amount of adhesive, in fact, keratin is used in this method. Mixed extensions mean a combination of all the methods that actually provide color effects alongside adding volume, lengthening, covering hair breakage, and all the uses of extensions, using them together to achieve the best and highest quality. Extensions for changing the texture of the hair. It depends on what your needs are, what you want, your lifestyle, and actually your emotional and mental state in relation to your beauty, because when it comes to beauty, we always have some special choices. If you've noticed, we have these choices in the way we dress as well. Some people like clothes made of chiffon, some prefer cotton clothes, the fabric of the clothes. Some people like looser clothes, some prefer tighter ones. Based on our mood, taste, and lifestyle, we make certain choices. The same thing happens with hair extensions. We make certain choices, and the right choice happens when you consult with an advisor who has the necessary experience, has worked with a wide range of techniques, knows their tools well, introduces you to the materials you want in the best possible way, and can perfectly turn the idea you established during the consultation into reality. This means a completely correct and professional process. Now, one of the most important materials and tools we work with and you live with is hair. Choosing hair is one of the most important topics in consultation. Which type of hair should we choose? Look, I want to share a story with you about after 20 years, and really I claim to have a lot of experience in this field. I've dedicated my whole life to this work. Just in the past few days, a lady came to see me, and one of her friends had given her some hair as a gift, and the quality of the 2 types of hair she brought me was actually different, because one was a gift to her and the other belonged to her herself. The hair that belonged to her matched the texture and style of her own hair, but the hair that was gifted to her was straighter than her own hair. This lady came in and we had to actually do the work. She didn't want a permanent extension. She wanted an extension that she could remove after a short period of time. When we started the work, there are different types of hair. Let me tell you about hair. Some hair ends are like rat tails, meaning that a bunch of short hairs are stacked together and the end of the hair becomes thin. The hair end is what forms your ponytail, so it's very important to choose hair that resembles a rope. The hair, so to speak, should not be like a rat tail, meaning the end shouldn't be thin, because we never want the top part of our hair to look full while the bottom part, which is the main ponytail, appears thinner. This goes against high quality standards. Well, our work was temporary. That lady didn't want to spend a lot of money on hair for just 1, 2, or 3 nights. Although my experience always tells me that extensions, I always tell this to my clients, I say that before I do this for you, I have to tell you a very important truth. You will carry this addiction with you for the rest of your life because this work adds so much quality to our lives and makes things so much easier for us. We always have thick hair with really cool color effects. The colors are silicone based, they never wash out, they don't need straightening or blow drying, and so many of the problems we deal with daily are gone. We live more comfortably and our pace of life increases. Plus, our appearance quality reaches 100% of what we want, even beyond that, even more than the acceptable limit we need. That's why this always becomes a constant addiction for us, because it delivers results. The first important part of the job was that we had to choose hair that matched the person's type and needs. But there were so many issues and sensitive choices in our consultation process, in the consultation environment, that we ended up choosing the wrong hair. That is, we were forced to use hair that in fact did not match the texture, style and the standard color effect that was supposed to be achieved in the work. And well, since the work was temporary, just for a week, they said it didn't matter, the work was going to be taken out quickly anyway. But in my opinion, even if something is going to be on your head for just 1 hour, it's important that we use hair that matches the texture, style, needs, preferences, and the standard color effect that matches what you have in mind. Because you see, with extensions, we actually have an idea or an image in mind that we're supposed to create. And if we can't reach a harmony between the execution and your vision during the consultation process, unfortunately, even though this could be something you really love, it might actually turn into something you never want to choose again. In short, the wrong hair was chosen and we had no choice. I usually never recommend placing a large number of keratin bonds on a person's head during the first one-by-one installation, because the client hasn't yet gotten used to the extension and doesn't fully understand the care routine yet. Of course, after people get extensions, by the time of the first maintenance session, they've already gotten used to it, and by the second maintenance, even more so. If this process is done with us, I promise you they'll become real experts in the field of extensions themselves. Because I always believe that we need professional clients, and my best clients have always been those who were very skilled hairdressers. They knew the process of coloring and highlighting. They always searched for good hair, and usually when we have professional clients, the quality of work, professional consultation, and ultimately professional materials, everything is done professionally. When we first began the application process, the client's natural hair was so thin that in order to properly cover her own visible hairline, we needed to apply many more extensions than we would typically require for a standard procedure. And unfortunately, during my initial interaction with that client, neither was there an environment where I could explain these issues, nor was anything going according to the quality I expected, and I couldn't explain that this outcome would be very disappointing. In short, it's important to pay attention to all the details during the consultation. You must be fully attentive and deeply focused whenever you are in that professional environment. I always say this, whether I am speaking to my new trainees, my dedicated students, or those who are currently learning this intricate craft, or even to those experts who are already using it every day. The extension client is a vital part of our big, growing extension family. It is incredibly important how they become involved with this work, how much they truly enjoy the process, and exactly how much quality and confidence it brings to their daily life. The second thing you must always consider is to carefully choose the right method that perfectly matches the person's current mood, their unique personality, and their specific lifestyle. I usually recommend the use of individual one-by-one hair extensions, which are definitely the most flawless and versatile type available. And they are designed to match the person's own natural hair exactly. But if you're looking for shorter-term extensions, tape-in extensions are also an option. However, their downside is that they can be a bit tricky when it comes to blow drying, putting your hair up, or creating special styles. They attach the hair in sheets and sections, and in terms of damage, they are more harmful. Contrary to what others think, this method actually causes more damage, because when it first entered the market, it was introduced as something that would cause less damage to your hair, but experience has shown that tape-in extensions actually cause more damage. However, since these methods are temporary, they are a better suggestion for people who don't want to have extensions permanently. And the third topic is about aftercare support. That means during the extension process, we need you to take care of your hair. We also need our support, and these two should complement each other so that you can feel better overall. Experience better quality, and when it comes to home care, make sure not to tie your hair up when it's wet, take care of your hair, and completely avoid permanent dyes and color stains. And if you want to go through this process, be sure to consult extremely sensitive and highly professional colorists. Make sure to use proper removers. Proper removers are very important, and in my opinion, they can sometimes even be more important than the installation itself. So if you consider damage to be a very important issue, be extremely careful with your hair. Choose highly professional extension specialists. Choose people who genuinely care about their work and are dedicated to serving you. And also make sure you yourself are attentive and careful about the parts that are your own responsibility, like removals and aftercare. In any case, we are here to share our experiences with you so that you can minimize trial and error as much as possible. Receive the best quality and pay the least amount of damage for the work so that in fact the damages are reduced to zero. I hope these consultations are heard, especially by those who are involved with extensions, those who live with extensions. In fact, they understand the meaning of every single thing I'm saying even better. Like the video, subscribe, follow the work and ask any questions you have. Because each of your questions can open a new window to a fresh perspective.